No, man, I respect him.
I don't
actually.
at all.
Really no, because he knew exactly what it was. Dad plus his mom.
He's a Trump supporter.
Okay.
I'm just joking, man.
Nah, man, he always knew what he was. He always knew what he was. He knew he wasn't gonna be like the top rapper guy and stuff like that. Like he's just like a dude that was trying to make music. He didn't even want to rap. His mom pushed him.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Anyway, back to our guest, man. So, take us to the album.
Well, first is beer. The beer.
Oh shit. All right, so let's keep it in the spirit of the Michigan, man. So we got we're going a little bit sweet and sour today. I'm really excited for the Crushies Pineapple Pink Guava over from Oddside over in Grand Haven.
This looks like it's going to be refreshing.
Yeah, man. So
based on the label,
you can follow us on untapped.com/beatsandbrewspod. Crushies Pineapple Pink Guava is a wheat ale brewed with coriander and sea salt, fermented with pineapple and pink guava, tropical citrusy and crisp with a slightly tart finish. 4.5% ABV, no IBUs. It is going to be really crushable and sour and sweet and delicious. I'm excited.
I agree. And while we're trying this, play a little clip of some of our guests' music here. So when we go into this interview,
I'll let you pick what track you want to hear.
What they're hearing.
What should they hear?
Let's do "To Where My Dreams Lead," just because that was the first single that came out. And
okay.
it was the first introduction to the music. So
sounds good to me.
Cool.
Ooh, I got lost in that.
Yeah, man. It's very like almost like seductive like in a way. So I was doing laundry while I was listening to this morning, right? And this reminded me, it almost gave me like my background theme music. Like if I'm like if like the aliens or some shit watching this from like there, this is like the background theme music of me like going about my day.
Well, I was gonna say that's like perfect. I feel like scoring film might definitely be in your future.
Yeah,
like, like that was like like that was first of all, I gotta say, I think the saxophone is the most beautiful sounding instrument ever.
That's
played.
alto, right?
It's-
That's an alto.
Okay,
yeah.
That sounded so
I
great.
used
and like
to play,
I-
so I was like,
I liked like the teased kind of long intro to it, and then when that sax comes in, it's like feels so good. Like
Okay.
you
No,
know,
man.
that feels
So-
really nice.
Besides saxophone, how many instruments do you play? Just in general.
Well, I like when I say I play, like saxophone is the main instrument that actually like I've dominated. Not dominated. I'm learning to dominate, but that's like what I feel really comfortable on. I'm kind of I do clarinet if I have to. I've like just got like I just got a certain gig with a pit orchestra gig, and it's like, oh shoot, like gotta like
Gotta
pick up
brush
the clarinet. But then I've been learning synthesizer for the past year.
I was gonna say, so that intro is definitely all synthesizer, and then
yeah.
The notes for just for my clarification, the notes
Yeah.
for like the saxophone, notes for clarinet are the same, right?
More kind of like in the bottom register they're not, but in the top register they are.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
like really confusing.
it's kind of like the notes in this delicious beer that we
Oh,
had.
yeah, man.
No, I just wanted to
Yeah.
pause and quickly say that I think
My
this is
dog.
a very refreshing, light tasting, easy to crush
This
on
would
the
have
summer
been
day type of beer.
perfect
Oh, yeah.
like 3 days ago when it was like 70 degrees out. Like I really like us light, subtle, crispy. It's only 4.5%, so it's not gonna get you too drunk. I mean, I really, really enjoy this. Oddside. I mean,
I like
really,
that little
don't have
sea
that many
salt
bad beers from 'em.
flavor in the aftertaste.
It just
That
keeps
tastes
you
good.
just thirsty
Mhm.
enough
Yeah,
to
you
drink
know what I
more.
mean?
It just
Yeah,
keeps you
for sure.
No, it's like it's really not as tart. It's like a very subtle tartness to it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. I mean, Gose, it's not really like punch you in the face sour. I really enjoy that. Still got like that sweetness. Like you can kind of taste like the guava fruit in there too. Like it's really well.
What are they rated on tap?
It is 3.6 on Untappd.
3.6.
Yeah.
They're out of 5, right?
Yeah, that would be about where I would put it at. I mean, it sounds low, but I actually really enjoy it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But anyways, back to this music of yours. So,
Yeah.
what kind of? Because this is something that I always kind of want to ask the guests because it kind of makes it easier for me to understand the music. Is what brought you to music in the first place? How old were you, and like what made you realize this
We
is what I
asking
want
the
to
real
do?
questions
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, man, that was a long time ago. I would kind of dedicate it to my parents always had kind of some sort of jazz or classical music going on in the house, but I'd really dedicate it to my sisters. I've got a sister that's 8 years older than me and a sister that's 4 years older than me, and they both started playing music, and they picked up the clarinet, but they both played the clarinet actually. And then my older sister, the sister who was 4 years older than me, played the saxophone. Or she wanted to switch to the saxophone, never ended up doing it. So there's like a saxophone in the house, and I was like, I want to play that. So, but I kind of look up to my sisters, and they're the ones who started music. So that's kind of what got me into it.
Where would we be without the women in our lives? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be born for starters.
That's
Right.
a fact. That is a fact. But so what kind of music was it that they were playing that got you kind of hooked on it? Was it just hearing them play, or
It was literally just them being in band. And we all went to the school where you just got to start music when you were in 5th grade. And I picked up, I actually started playing on baritone, like just not baritone, so just straight up baritone, like mini tuba kind of thing. And then switched to saxophone when the spare saxophone came into the house. And like, it was like a really, my parents didn't want to invest a lot, so it was a really cheap, like eBay kind of knockoff saxophone, but it like worked like for what I needed at the time. And so I got to play it. And then it wasn't really a particular style. I never actually listened. Like the first non-jazz or non-classical music I listened to was the Strokes in 8th grade.
okay?
And everything else is classical and like just random like downloaded things of jazz. And I didn't even like listening to improvisation. I just liked listening to the head. And then I'd be like, improv doesn't matter. Like some like young white dude not even caring about the culture of jazz. But yeah, that was it. And then the Strokes were like my first Green Day. I had like a Green Day phase.
Dookie?
It was American Idiot.
Oh, okay.
that was
Early
after,
2000s. I love that album.
Yeah. But then after that, it was the Strokes for like all of the Strokes. And then, I don't know, got into stuff after that. But
It's crazy how like the Strokes have been around forever, and they're still headlining festivals and tours and shit. They're gonna be here this summer with Red Hot Chili Peppers at Comerica Park.
All right, really?
Yeah.
Actually
Mhm.
didn't know that either.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Chili Peppers, their new album, actually, I think it comes out the same day as your album on April
wow.
1st. It's their first album in a while, and the first album with John Frusciante back in the band. And So yeah, they're going on a big tour over summertime, and them and the Strokes are playing Comerica Park. I'm not sure the date on it, but sometime in June or July or something like that.
Yeah.
But that would be fucking sweet. That's funny. That's very interesting that you want that you go from classical music and jazz standards to the Strokes. What got you into the Strokes?
The Strokes was actually like this friend I had in like middle school, high school, who ended up being like a crush, who then like told me to made me like a mix CD of the Strokes.
Okay.
And then I started listening, but then I like got my own kind of interest towards it. But that was why it started, because I just had this crush on a person. And
That'll do it to you, man. That'll do it to you.
Yeah, music, that tends you go down like paths of music. Yeah.
Back to where would we be without the women in our lives?
Once again.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's funny, man. I was obsessed with not obsessed, but I was really into in high school, because like that was when that era of music was very popular. It was when I was in high school. So like the Strokes, White Stripes, the Vines, the Hives, like all of the bands that were all making that kind of like
The Used,
but that was a little bit different. That's when it kind of started to change.
like the emo.
sound
That was
a
like
little
emo.
bit. It was
right?
more
Yeah.
like like that like fast picking like power chord type stuff. I don't know. I really like the Strokes, man. Like Julian Casablancas got like really cool solo music too. I really like him too. So that's awesome though. But I want to hear more of this album of yours. Can we play another track?
Yeah.
Because
Go for it.
that first one felt good, and I know there's at least hearing from like the first to that one, there's definitely different sounding vibes.
Gotta
on this
say,
album,
I do
so.
love the little like tidbit with your like the "Call Me When You Can" with your grandma. I really enjoy that one.
Yeah,
a
thank
lot.
you. Thanks. I didn't know. I was like, do I upload this? Do I not? But it was really like my grandma's was like she passed away in 2020, but I was there. Like I was there to like kind of be with her, and like she was always like a really important part of like just my music journey. I just always took the saxophone into the nursing home, just played.
That's awesome,
man.
That's awesome.
It's like a really nice tribute you did there.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Which one do you think we should have? Let's give us one that has a little bit of a different, because I know there's a lot of different textures and stuff on this album.
You got layers to this. So
Dude,
so they can hear the versatility in your music.
I know which one I want to play. But
I was thinking "We Dance, We Heal," but I don't know if that was
that was the
like
one I wanted.
Cool.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, a little bit of "We Dance, We Heal" from Jeffery Thiele.
I like the synth there.
I think it was like around like halfway more when it started switching up.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me like Zelda music. Right?
Synths always sound like Zelda music a little bit.
that. Keep rocking.
Hell yeah, man. So that got me thinking a little bit, and I wanted to get a little nerdy with you on this because we don't oftentimes get, the production side of it. A lot of the times we get singers and we get rappers and stuff like that. So when it comes to your writing process, where do you have a definitive place that you like to start? Like, all right, maybe let me come up with a piano groove or a synth groove, or let me throw just a little drum beat on, and like, how do you get it started when you're writing?
So there's a long answer to that. I don't know if you want.
No, I kind of do. Yeah,
that's the point of the show.
I figured. Let's see. So that song was written and recorded. I'll say written and recorded. My writing I don't sit down and kind of do I'm gonna do this now. I'm trying to do that more often now, but this at the time it was just a lot of stuff was improvisatory. Firstly, because I was learning the equipment that I was living out of the country until June 2020.
Where at?
In El Salvador.
Oh shit! Okay, nice. That's awesome.
And I decided to go home to Midland, Michigan, just because I had lost all my work in El Salvador, and I was like, I had no reason to be there at the time, and I was like, well, I don't know, I didn't see worth being there, so I was like, I'm gonna go home, but I used this time to really kind of cultivate my own solo project because I was a part of other bands in El Salvador, but it wasn't my own stuff. Mm-hmm. Just only me, and I was really wanted to start doing modular stuff and synthesis and getting hardware and whatnot. And I had also linked up with Marcus Elliott. I don't know if you know the name Marcus Elliott.
I'm unfamiliar with.
We don't. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he's a Detroit saxophonist.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, he's super low key. Everyone calls him Dad because he's the dad of the music community.
See? The OG of the
He plays with Shigeto. He's actually the saxophonist on Shigeto.
Wait,
what?
I didn't know that.
He's the saxophonist on Shigeto's stuff.
Oh, that's
shit.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into this, see if we can get him on the pod. But
continue.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Marcus, at that time, because I decided that my music. So going back, my music journey is an extremely roundabout journey, right? And I can mention that later. But I decided I wanted to start taking lessons again. I took lessons with a guy in El Salvador. Kind of worked, but didn't really work out. And then I decided to stop with him. And then I reached out to Marcus because I saw him on. Do you know who Anna Gamolka is?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So Anna Gamolka,
she's been on the show.
Nice. Yeah, she's super cool. Yep. I saw her post something about him on her story, and I was like, he seems like a really good saxophone teacher, potential saxophone teacher. So I wrote him on Instagram, and we talked, and then we had a phone call, and we had lessons, started lessons. And then he was trying to teach me jazz theory, straight out of the gate. It wasn't working, so we went another route because I wasn't ready, mentally or emotionally. Mm-hmm. And he's essentially we were learning the modes of the how's your music theory? I don't know how you're on.
I'm nerdy with my stuff, but I don't know
I have
too
no,
much about
I am
theory.
not I don't know anything about conventional music at all.
Okay, well this is the major we were learning all the major modes, which I don't know, and essentially we're going it's Ionian, Lydian, or I'm gonna make a fool of myself right now, but Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, and we're in the Aeolian mode, which is that week. And he's just literally all he was telling me to do is write something in the Aeolian mode, so just in a certain key on a certain interval, and you have to make sure it's on that it has to be in the same. I don't know. Anyways, he's right in the Aeolian mode. You can do whatever you want though. You can write however you want it to do. But he was telling me we're also in this phase where a lot of my compositions weren't moving in a direction. They were kind of just looping. I would make a cool loop, but it would just sit there. And then he's I want you to start trying to transition your stuff, go from point A to point B to point C. So that time I had essentially what I did. At that time I had the Electron Digitac. Mm-hmm. So I use as my brain. I don't know if you're familiar with Electron devices. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I use the Digitact as my main MIDI brain and beat brain or whatever. And then I had that routing into the Moog Matriarch, and then also a MIDI through to the Moog Subharmonicon. And the Subharmonicon was the first synth I got. And because I was just so intrigued by this, it goes down the subharmonic intervals and whatnot. But anyways, so what I had done, I think I had programmed the set of chord changes in the Digitact, and that was basically what I I don't know how, and I think I had read in this book called Patch and Tweak, but it's by Moog, from this other guy who's now my teacher as well. His name's Brian Knoll. He goes by Lightbath. He's an ambient guy.
Okay.
I was reading his interview in this book, and he's like, do this on the Moog Matriarch to make it sound like this. Like, essentially, and you can do arpeggiation, but you can set it to a mode where it will, instead of hitting every single oscillator, like if you're in one single voice mode, it'll hit, every note it hits, it'll trigger all 4 oscillators to go, and they'll all go through the same envelope. But in the mode he kind of brought to light in this interview was this, you're in 4 voice mode, but it essentially on every note of your arpeggiated like sequence, or if you're sending MIDI, if it's sending like a chord that's like a C, E flat, G, and B flat, it won't hit all the oscillators on the C, all the oscillators on the G, all the oscillators on the E flat. It'll go essentially it'll switch oscillators every time. So it'll give it like a spacier kind of like more timed out. I guess you're leaving space for other things, whereas you're not hitting every single oscillator at the same time. I don't know if I'm.
Is that what makes the sound kind of like pull out, like almost like a pulsating kind of?
Yeah, it's like a bum bum bum. It's like kind of gives you that counterpoint-esque kind of like feel, like what you'd get in like a Bach organ's fugue or something like that. But honestly, that happened by accident.
Because it sounds like it's more like that, like kind of like that big room sound on the more where like I guess you kind of more like way more full. I guess.
It takes its time to develop the the chords instead of hitting them all at once. I guess if that makes and I also was kind of learning how to use a synthesizer, and I liked using like a big delay on it to give it the bigger room as well. But and using like the saw wave to get a really fat sound on it. And then I had programmed that, and after I programmed the chord changes, I then programmed the subharmonicon with its rhythms. And I don't know if you're familiar with the synth, the subharmonicon synth.
Not really. No.
Oh, it's just like it's got 2 oscillators on it, and then 2 sub oscillators for each oscillator, and then it's a sequencer as well. But what it does is it like splits the time it subdivides your main clock in weird ways. So it's not giving you like very even kind of like 1 and 2 and 1, and it gives you that in the second part of that song. You hear that voice come in that's like dun 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 dun, and that's the subharmonicon.
Okay.
So essentially, I'd program that, and then I also had programmed the sample to come in on the digitact, and I basically just using the mute function. So I was just muting my tracks and unmuting them as I went. And that track actually, little like secret about the album, the Come With Me, Let's Walk Together, is just the entire the long live version or live take of tracks of the Oh Restful Eyes. And
really? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know if anyone really noticed that, like, which is cool. Like, but it just like they're all different vibes and stuff. But I just like they're kind of cuts of the same piece.
Yeah.
But that piece I just did like in one take in my bedroom.
That's sweet.
And, like,
that's what's up, dude.
But it was just like that's kind of how I was doing all this stuff. It was just really like, for lack of a better word, like vibey, like. But in a way, I didn't have the expertise to like know to plan everything out. Like, and it just kind of I would rely on like I think of music as like an old stream of energy, like an ancient stream of energy that's just kind you around us, and you can just pluck out of it what you can.
Energy's transferable, man. So that's the thing. Like that's what I love about music, because like with the stuff and we said this last week. The exact quote: "You pull this stuff out of air, right? And then you transfer it to like the listener, and then that listener gives off that same like kind of like." It kind of like receives that emotion you try to get across in music, and that's what's the beauty about music, you know.
Agreed.
Yeah,
kind of ultra.
It's interesting hearing you describe your relationship with your teacher too, and how he kind of taught you to get from point A to point B to point C, because I can kind of hear that in the first track that we listened to, because it started with that synth loop, and then you get this beautiful new sound when the sax comes in. So it's like going from that original loop to, all right, now we're expanding out.
Yeah.
So we're getting to point B here.
It's like super experimental.
So that's interesting. That's why I like hearing the breakdowns of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, like the actual progression of this album is like something, because it's like each one gets like kind of like trippier and trippier, I guess, in a way, and stuff like that, where you kind of like play around with the sounds, and I'm like, okay, so you're using different synths. It's almost like some like, because I know 80s synths are hot right now, but the way you use them is kind of like just like real funky, dude.
Okay.
Like, it's just
I have two musician buddies that I would like to introduce you to or send you their stuff on Instagram. Are you familiar with Dugatron at all?
No.
Dugatron is it's
Stevie
two,
T
Stevie T and Kyle Frater. But they are really into like electronic music but not like Steve's always been a big proponent of kind of sounding different, and he doesn't like to use basic time signatures or like he likes to be like sometimes leaning into ambient. And Jaws That Bite is the other one. Is my buddy Mike Sabatini. He's really into like that ambient kind of stuff. I'll send you his album.
What are you listening to just like in general right now?
Right now I've been on that's always like the question. It's on an Actress kick. I don't know if you've heard of the producer named Actress.
No.
Yeah, so like Actress, that's kind of where like I've been talking with Brian, this teacher, like about where I'm going next, and like Actress is this kind of like.
Is it spelled this? Sorry.
Yeah, it's like literally like
okay,
Actress,
okay.
like.
I just want to save it for later, so I can look it up.
The album R.I.P. by Actress.
Album R.I.P.
That and no, just listen to R.I.P.
Okay.
But Actress has been. So actually Actress and then Shigeto, I've been listening to Detroit, or like there's like the Monday, his album, like the old Monday or something. I can't remember the name of the album, but it's
yeah. Who?
Shigeto is like but.
Oh, is that me?
That is you.
That was an accident. My bad.
But yeah, Actress is very kind of like it's experimental as well. But Actress
the new Monday.
Yeah, the new Monday is the Shigeto one. And yeah, so going to Actress is essentially Actress is this kind of really crunchy, vibey but they like Actress does not care whether the person. It feels like he doesn't care whether the listener is going to really like it. He chooses because there's one song. It's the entire song is all wet reverb, and it sounds like this this beautiful organ progression or synth progression, but way out in the back, and it never comes forward. And it's just like stuff like that I'm trying to learn from and really go.
My buddy Sabs, the one I was just telling you about, Jaws That Bite, he'll go out in nature and like mic up like the sound of like leaves blowing or like birds chirping and shit, and he'll incorporate that into his music production.
T Green is another one that does stuff.
Yeah,
like
T Greens is big into that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is very interesting to me, and there's like this whole other community. It seems like they have like it's got a real scene. You know what I mean? Like the people that are way more versed in it than I am. I wish I was better at being able to describe this stuff, but I definitely have taken a liking to it. And if you see it live, like if you sort of know like how difficult some of the things are to do live, I'm like, it's really kind of cool because my buddy Sabs has taken me to shows where it's been a lot of like ambient stuff, and he's like, oh dude, he'll be like the machine that he's using right here is like a real like old hard to like program or like this something like that, like real nerdy stuff. But I like that kind of stuff because I am a big nerd. So
yeah, well, it's fun. It's fun.
But yeah, so anyways, on our show, and since we're asking you about music that you're interested in, we do a segment on our show called Something Old, Something New. Yeah. Where each week we talk about something new that came out that we're listening to, or it could be new to us, something that we just found out about, and then an album that's older. Doesn't have to be. It could be anywhere from 5 to 50 years old. So that's kind of a segment that we do on the show that we're going to transition into here. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, man. I really wanted to. I want a couple more questions. About
for sure. Go ahead.
I just really want. So like the actual. Is there because I see the progression is like how like you name the tracks and stuff like that, and then how it ends. Is there like an actual story to this album?
So this goes into the whole idea of being vibey. A musician's just like, you'll hear it. And you're like, what? Okay, but essentially, it would like pay off just to explain like how these tracks were made, like in the grand scheme. It wouldn't take too long. But
like do your thing.
Yeah, well, it's essentially like the album. So I had a bunch of stuff that I had taken that. So Marcus is kind of this teacher has transitioned into not just teaching one-off like hour-long lessons, but instead he does semesters where you pay for like a bulk of like 9 to 12 weeks for him. It's like better on him, better for the learner and everything. And for this time I was taking this class called the Inner Artist Method. That Marcus is, if any musicians out there are looking to like really explore their creativity and their confidence as artists, like they should really look into that.
What was it called?
The Inner Artist Method. But if you just talk to Marcus, he teaches it every semester. I think every semester. But anyways, it's just exploring like your inner critic and your inner artist, and a lot of it's kind of like